Hello, everyone. Welcome to our conversation today following Easter Sunday. And I'm here sitting in a room with Scott Chapman and my lovely husband, Blake Dole, who is our campus pastor at the Palatine campus. But today we're kind of recapping Easter. We had such an exciting Easter Sunday.
Yeah, we did.
Across all of our campuses, more than 13,000 people joined us for Easter.
Yeah.
It is crazy. What is crazy about it to me is how many people got up to worship God that day. That just always amazes me.
Yeah, it was so awesome because we talked as a church about, hey, if we actually take the opportunity to invite people,
yes,
they will say yes. And we saw that to be true. I met so many people that people had brought and that had said yes, that had a great experience. We saw so many people who took Bibles or who made a profession of faith or who just maybe even just said, I think I'm going to come back. Mm-hmm. You know, Blake, you, as one of our campus pastors, you get a chance to get a frontline view of that. What was Easter like for you guys at your campus?
Yeah, I mean, I was bouncing around in the lobby afterwards trying to meet every new person that I could. There was a lot that came through invitation, but there was a lot that just came because they were looking for a church. And so,
wow.
It was really wild. We had one person say they want to give their life to Jesus before the message even started. And so I felt like at that point we were off on a good start.
That's a pretty good batting average right there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, man, we're rocking and rolling already this morning. But so many people were just the content of the message, the whole experience of Easter, I think really drew people in. And I'm anticipating a great return this week and the weeks to come of just continue to seek after the Lord and what he's doing in our church.
Yeah, this was an Easter that I just felt like so many things came together.
So many things.
Yeah.
It brings me so much joy.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, just all of the communication pieces, all of the themes, all of the worship, all of the stuff, and it just felt great. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of my favorites of it was, I mean, we start praying for Easter way in advance, right?
Yeah.
And thinking about it and processing through it, and to host.
I think you start praying for it on Mother's Day.
So. At least, yeah, definitely before Christmas.
Yeah.
And the cool thing was just how I felt like God was just at work through all of it, and even. I remember one of the earliest conversations that you and I had around it and talking about the shroud. And I was like, how do you feel about it? And, I was just excited that God had laid it on your heart in ways too, and also on mine. And
totally.
we got to partner together in that and to like help people encounter God. Like, I think that's the heart of holidays at the chapel for sure is behind the scenes. This is a look behind the scenes. We just want people to experience him and encounter him. And so as we pray about even decorations and things like that, it's like, Lord, what would help people encounter you? And this year he brought the shroud to mind, and then how that's lined up just with things that are going on in culture and more evidence that's coming out has been really, really cool.
It has. I mean, like everybody is doing the shroud this year, which I think I'm like, how did that happen, man?
The Holy Spirit, I think.
It must be. It absolutely must be the case. So, because I think when you and I were first thinking about it, we're like, man, that's a little edgy.
It felt very edgy and a little scary.
Very edgy. And I'm like, man, I don't know. It's kind of like inviting people to your house after you're kind of redoing your kitchen or something, and I'm like, I'm not sure about this. But
but it was great, and there were so many good stories of just people encountering that evidence in the shroud and helping them come alive to God in that way. But something interesting that popped up when I was listening to things about the shroud and preparing for Easter was the dating of Easter this year.
I thought that was amazing.
Yes. Scott, do you understand like the calendaring? Can you like explain this for people?
Yeah, there's
a
solar calendar and lunar calendar, right?
Yeah.
And so most of the time we do the solar calendar, 365 days a year, and we number those days. We have months, and we have split this all up, right? Mm-hmm. There's also a lunar calendar, which certain societies have taken over, which is a 28-day month. Mm-hmm. And so you basically Passover is linked to the lunar calendar,
right?
And so it can move around on our calendar. And what's interesting is this particular year, they coincided with the very first Easter. So the very first resurrection day was April 5th, 33 AD, according to people who say they know. And
we'll trust them in this moment.
And we're trusting them on that. In fact, there's only 2 dates. It would either be 30 or 33.
Yeah.
And so because there's a whole bunch of factors that they weigh in on this, and they think 33 is the most likely date of the resurrection, 5:43 a.m.
Yeah.
Which is what they put it at, which I think is super
so
cool
wild.
as well. Because once you get it down to a date, you know when sunrise was.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. So it felt kind of special.
It did. Even as I woke up Easter morning, our bedroom is very tiny, and we have these 2 little windows. And I woke up, and I think it was about 5:30 when I woke up. My alarm had gone off, and I had known 5:43 a.m. is the time of the sunrise on that Easter morning. And so I made my way downstairs and had a cup of coffee and just thought about it as the sun rose. But I think that's a question that can stir wonder in us, and what would it have been like to be there on that first Easter morning, to in the dark,
I think
go to the tomb.
I think if you're these women, I think that's a scary journey. I look at this and I think if you're getting up at 5 a.m. and it's dark and you're walking through a city that is swollen to more than 100,000 people, that is a small city other than at Passover and at other holidays, and you don't know who you're meeting that is going to encounter you, and you have Roman guards that are guarding the tomb that are not known for their genteel treatment of people. And you have a huge stone that you don't know how you're going to roll away.
Right.
And there's just everything that's in the middle of this. And I just think it was very brave. I look at these women and I think they loved Jesus very much, and they wanted to do an act of kindness for him. And they also were very brave. There's no men with them. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, where are the men? Nobody said, yeah, I'll go with you.
They can do it. It's fine.
Yeah, they can do it. Yeah, And so it's just
the stone away for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a thing though, man. But I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and just the devotion that they had to Jesus. Something that always really grounds me is the reality of thinking about how they had been following Jesus for so long. And he's murdered. He's killed in front of them.
Yeah.
Their lives are threatened in that
Absolutely.
as well. This is not a safe situation for them. I think that people think oh yeah, they were devoted, they were brave, but for real, they were devoted and brave, beyond what we can imagine. I think
the Romans were amazingly good at stamping out political opposition. If you look when Caesar died, everybody that was for Caesar died. This was the Roman way. And so they're looking at this and saying, are we next? That's why they're hiding.
Yeah.
These guys are hiding behind locked doors, and they're terrified that there's going to be a knock on the door and there's going to be Roman legionnaires outside, and they're going to get drug in and they're going to die too.
Right.
This is absolutely a thing. I
can't imagine spending 3 years of your life following this man, and then this happening and wanting to go back to the tomb. You feel like everything you've done in the last 3 years wasn't actually what you thought it was, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes sense. I don't know if I would be the first one to go back either.
Yeah.
Which paints even a more incredible picture of Mary returning. And I can't stop thinking about the stone. What was her plan? She wanted to go anoint the body of Jesus. That meant the stone had to be rolled away.
Right.
The only thought I have is the guards were going to help, maybe, but that seemed far-fetched. And so, I don't know. It's really incredible.
But the reality is, the stone was also sealed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you know anything about how it was sealed, or what that would have looked like?
And sealed, there's 2 ways that we use the term sealed.
Okay.
The first way we use the term sealed means we seal an envelope. And so it is
That's what
sealed
I think of.
shut. No, it actually is
Okay.
not that. It's the other one.
Good.
They would have taken a cord, probably a golden or purple cord.
Okay.
And they would have put it across the stone and had wax that they put on either side of it, and put the Roman seal of the ring of Rome into the wax
Okay.
on each side. And if you broke the seal, you would be killed.
Wow.
And so if you would have rolled the stone away, it was under sentence of death that you would have rolled it.
Wow.
And so the captain who was probably wearing the Roman symbol that he put in there would have not been there. He'd have marched back to the barracks, but he'd have left a sergeant and some troops there.
Right.
But his ring that would have been the seal of Rome itself, which was Caesar's name, was put into the wax. And so in a sense, there's a reality to this and a beautiful symbolism to this, right?
Right.
Like the reality of this is you are absolutely they're going to hunt you down and kill you if you break that seal willingly. Like that's a big deal. That's an affront to Caesar's image himself.
Yeah.
The beautiful symbolism moment of this is there is one true king who didn't care what Caesar thought.
Yeah.
and the angel that came.
And guess what? You killed him, and he's alive.
and he doesn't care about your image. He cares about the image that he is giving to humanity.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a beautiful symbolism to that. And it's the second. And actually in Ephesians in chapter 1, Paul tells us about being sealed with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's the same type of thing with an envelope, and it's not. It's this kind of seal.
Yeah.
You're not sealed as if there's a seal that holds the Holy Spirit in you.
Yeah.
You're sealed in that the mark of God has been placed on your life, and you are separated out, that his seal is upon you. And so it's a powerful
It's
image.
like a mark of ownership, kind of, right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You belong to God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you belong to God.
Yeah. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like that really debunks any of the theories that the Roman guards did something with the body, or that somebody else
they wouldn't have been just as guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the outcome, they wouldn't have wanted it, and they wouldn't want to allow anybody else to do it because of what would have happened. And so
Totally.
it kind of debunks both of those.
Seriously, if you think about it from just what we know historically, the Roman army had the strictest punishments of any army that I know of. You've heard to decimate. You heard this term, decimate.
Yep.
Do you know where that comes from?
No.
It means every 10th Roman soldier was executed by the Roman soldier above him. And so if the Romans weren't brave enough in battle, they would kneel down on the ground, and a man would take his sword, and they would bend your neck down, and he would kill you by cutting your neck in half.
What?
And it was his own soldiers he was doing that to. And so that was what it meant to decimate an army. It would be every 10th man was killed because you weren't brave enough.
Wow.
And so
you better be brave.
You better be brave.
Yeah.
And you better obey orders.
Yeah.
Because this is an army that has no problem killing its own men.
That's some motivation there.
That
Exactly.
makes
yeah.
my stomach turn a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so if you're given the task and the seal of Rome has been put on something, first of all, if you let someone break it and you don't punish them, this is on you. Right. Secondly, if you desert your post, it's death. Which is why in the Gospels, they don't go back to their own barracks. They go to the Jewish officials.
Yes.
And they're trying to figure out a way that they don't get killed.
Yeah.
in the midst of this, right? Because this angel comes down, and we don't know what he looked like, but most angels that we've heard people talk about are huge. They're not small.
You said at one point like 8 foot, right?
Yeah. This is what the normal description of an angel, when you hear people talk about, wow, I saw an angel appear to me. They're 7-8 feet tall, and they're very large. Yeah. And so you have this very large human-looking man that's glowing in the dark, that takes a stone that is really large. Like I was at the tombs in Jerusalem, and just being who I am, I tried to move one of the stones. And when I say no way, I mean there is no way. You could have 8 or 9 of me, and we would not have moved this stone. And I mean like not even an inch. Yeah. And so when you realize, wow, this angel comes and just rolls it away. Every one of these battle-hardened Roman soldiers are like, I want no part of this guy. I want no part of this at all. Right. And so they're worried about dying. And so they go and they're trying to concoct a story. Yeah. And the story that is told by the Jewish officials is they're told to go and tell everybody that, that the disciples stole the body. Right. And which is a crazy story. Right.
Because how are they getting
how is all this
why did nobody kill them in the midst of it? All of these questions.
Isn't that crazy?
So crazy. One of my favorite scriptural pieces, and it's just a little note, is after the angel comes down, he sits on top of the stone.
I love that too.
I'm like, it's kind of just like a what now?
Yeah.
Moment.
What are you gonna do about it? Yeah.
I'm like, this is like giant angel sitting on top of the stone. Like, what about it, guys? What about it?
What do you want to do?
I just love that moment. But when we think about the tomb, you've been to the garden tomb.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and there are some really cool facts about it even.
Like I would say the experience of going there, if you ever can get there, I would absolutely do it. I think I would lead an amazing tour of Israel personally. It'd be the the unscripted tour, man. I can get you over fences and into things because I'm an explorer. I will
try
find
to push
things.
the stone. You
yeah,
can't.
I will totally. Yeah, we'll distract the people who are there and we'll see if we can push it and things like that. But yeah, this garden tomb is amazing because you go there, and first of all, it's run by a Christian group from England.
Okay.
And they're sweet people. They're kind of senior citizens, and they're really sweet, and like they seemed super kind, and it was very enjoyable just to talk to them. But when you go in there, it's a very small entryway, and you have to bow down very low to get in the door. And when you go in, there's an anteroom where they would have prepared the body, and then to the right there's a doorway with kind of half walls with two slabs where you would have laid people who had died, and then shelves where you would come back in a year or two when there was just bones, and you would take them from the slab and put them in what they would call a bone box or an ossuary, and that's where their remains would be forever in there. Like most Jewish tombs, you would have 15, 20 bone boxes, maybe more.
Kind of like a mausoleum.
Like a mausoleum, but just for very small boxes, stone boxes with bones in it.
Okay.
And you can go to Israel right now and you can see lots and lots and lots and lots of these. This tomb, however, had no bone boxes, and it was an expensive tomb because it was large. But one of the cool parts of it was on one of the slabs was hastily chiseled farther into the wall because the person laying on it was longer than expected. And what we know is Joseph of Arimathea was the tomb that Jesus was laid in. Right. And so the tomb was not built for Jesus, it had been built for Joseph. And if Jesus was actually 5'11", he was about 6 inches taller than most of the people around him.
Wow.
And so if he would have been laid there, he wouldn't have fit. And their solution would have been to quickly chisel a part of the tomb away to get him to fit, and that they would come back later and fix it.
Yeah.
But there was probably, because it was Jesus' tomb, there was probably never another body that was ever laid in there.
Yeah.
And it was never used again. And so this tomb looks exactly like that.
That's amazing.
And it is on a hill. The place of the crucifixion is called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. And this rock, if you step about 50 yards away, looks just like a skull.
Wow.
And so it's a super interesting place, and it's a beautiful garden. There's a little brook that runs through it, and so it's both a very somber place of death, but it's also a beautiful place bursting with flowers and life. And so it's the juxtaposition. For me, I just sensed God, and it was just a moment of where I just wanted to pray, and I just wanted to linger. Yeah, it was super cool.
That's so awesome. I hope to see it someday. We'll put it on the bucket list.
Yeah, for sure.
We've not been. But okay, so in this Easter Sunday, Jesus is resurrected. This Easter, we talked about the shroud, which we mentioned at the beginning. And something that I found interesting, I had been, as I was looking through it and I'm pseudo studying it, right, in whatever way that we do. Obviously, there's been tons of research done on this.
It's the most research artifact in history.
Yeah.
102 different disciplines. That's not scientists. That's just different scientific disciplines have spent more than 600,000 hours studying this.
Which is incredible.
Enormous.
And so many cool disciplines, astrophysicists and
Totally. And most of them skeptical. These are not people who are coming as people of faith wanting this to be what it is. These are people looking to poke a hole in it.
Yeah.
And I think that is super cool.
Yeah, and the cool thing is the people walk away with testimonies of oh, I actually think this is the real deal.
Totally.
Like, it's not like people are constantly disproving it. They're like, this is the real thing.
Totally. If you're a science nerd like me at all, and you get into this, there's a moment, and it might be in your discipline, or it might just be in the whole when you're looking at it, that there's a moment where something creeps over you, and you're like, I can't tell you for sure that this is or isn't. But man, we're somewhere that I never expected to go. And I'm standing in a space of wonder and awe, and I don't know what to think about that. And you just kind of have to embrace it. And it's a cool, I think it's a very cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It stirs a lot of wonder. One thing that I had been puzzling was the idea of, scripturally, we see evidence of the shroud in all four accounts of the Gospels, which is really cool.
Isn't it?
I think that's an amazing fact, that it's there in all of the Gospels.
And think of all the things that aren't.
Yes. Yeah.
Think of all the things about the crucifixion and the resurrection that are not in all four Gospels. And you realize this is an important detail.
Yeah.
And in John's Gospel, it is mentioned 3 times in one paragraph.
He really wants you to know that it was still there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we have understood that. Like that is something that is clearly a major element of John's moment that is in that.
Yeah. Something that I had been trying to figure out was in John's Gospel, I think he mentions a face cloth and the shroud. And so I was trying to figure out, like, how does that work? And the shroud is still what it is, right?
Yeah.
Or what people are claiming it to be, the burial cloth of Jesus. Like, how do we have a face cloth, but then the face of a man in this shroud? And what I learned was that when they took his body off of the cross, there probably would have been a cloth that they placed over his face immediately.
Right.
For dignity.
Right.
So that they could carry him away in a more dignified way. I mean, obviously his body is naked.
Right.
But his face would have been drawn, and just that was, I think the face is very important for them. So they would have covered it with a cloth, and then they take him to the tomb, and then they would have placed that to the side.
Yep.
And then wrapped him
in
the shroud. And for me, that was a moment where I was like, okay, now I'm on board.
Yeah.
Because I figured out this face cloth piece.
Yes.
It was very confusing to me up until that point. But I'm wondering, like, for you guys, as you looked at the shroud, like, what were the pieces where you're like, this is it for me? Like, this makes me feel confident.
Man, as you were going through, Scott, all the different details, I leaned over to Ellie like 3 or 4 times, like, how do they really know? Like, I was even trying to disprove it in the midst of it.
No, that's right.
Like 372 marks on his back. Like, how do they know for sure?
Yeah.
But when you just like stand and look at it, it's incredible. Like to do the thing with your phone,
photo negative,
and get the photo negative of it, and like to see it there. Like I could see it a little bit, like I could make out the outline and stuff, but like when you're staring at it, at his face, I don't know, and all the detail that you shared, it makes it really hard to not walk away feeling like it confirms so much.
Yeah, I mean, here's some things we know. We can trace this back to Turin, Italy. And in that for well more than 1,000 years, right? So we can say, if this was a manufactured false artifact, right? Which is what I think people would have to say if it's not real, that somebody made it.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have made it in 1950.
Right.
It would have been all the way back 800, 900 AD. And so in 800 or 900 AD, when you look at the art, of 809, because that's what you should do. You should examine the art and the science of that time period. And when you examine the art, almost exclusively, they had the crown of thorns as a halo around the head and not a basket or a helmet. They had the nail holes through the palms and the feet versus the wrists and the heels. They would also have... when you think about pigments and inks and the ability to do it, they were heavier. And this reality is so different that it gets everything right. It's also in 3 dimensions. And And so if you were painting an image, you would have had to have the skill anatomically to figure out how to do it 3-dimensionally for it to work out.
Right.
You would have also, the image, while it has no pigment or ink, is only 2 microns thick, which your human hair is 50 to 100 microns in diameter.
That's really amazing.
I mean, like this is almost just like the thinnest of film across there, and it's atomic changes to the fabric, and it's not burned, it's not printed, and when you start to look at that, you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And they took it, I think it was a jet propulsion lab, that they asked the question of like, how much energy would it have taken to do this? And you get 34 billion watts. And you look at that and you're like, that's a lot. Like that's a serious amount.
In a fraction of a second.
In 1/4 of a billionth of a second.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just instant, right? And it's over. Without heat, because that kind of load would have produced heat. Like I don't know, Blake, have you ever mistakenly, stuck a screwdriver into a light bulb or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done those.
Yeah, you've done those. I've done that as well. And you're just pulling 120 volts through a circuit. And so you look at this and you're like, what in the world? How did it not burn this thing to a crisp? How did it not light the whole thing on fire in there? And so it's an amazing, you start to look at all of these facts. And the pollen.
The pollen is very interesting.
For me, that was just killer, because 38 of the 58 grains of pollen embedded in this thing are native to Israel, and they only bloom in March and April.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you look at that, you are saying this is absolutely when the crucifixion.
Yeah.
And to do that, to go get that pollen 1,000 years ago, and to be that deliberate about it, that's just wild.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It puts things into, and there's not other parts of this that are radically taking it in the other direction.
No.
And so that's pretty wild. It has real blood.
Yeah.
Lots of it, actually, lots and lots of blood, which I think is pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
I agree. What's cool, going back to the pollen, I was listening, and the other 20 that they found on it, helps map the path or the places it's been in its history. And so not only do you have all those ones that are native to the area, right, but now you can actually map where it has gone throughout time and how it ended up in Italy.
Right.
And it's those are confirmed places where it's been.
Yeah.
And then they're confirmed, this pollen is from that confirmed location.
Totally.
We know where it's been.
Totally.
Something I found interesting and moving was when Jesus was carrying the cross, we know that he fell.
Yes.
And he would have been carrying the cross beam, not the whole cross, but as he's carrying the cross beam, he falls because, one, he's been whipped. He's almost at the point of death before he's even crucified.
Right.
The man has lashes all over his body. He's probably lost 30% or more of his blood at this point. He's carrying his cross, and so he's falling, carrying this cross. And on the shroud, it's going to make me cry thinking about it. At his knees and at his nose. Yeah. Are limestone residue on the shroud, showing where his knees would have hit the stone path, and his face would have hit the stone path, and just thinking about that piece of the suffering to me, when they I was listening to this podcast and they just pointed that piece out, I was like, what? The suffering. The amount of strain that his body went through, which, we're not even at the point of crucifixion yet. Right. And he's falling on his face, just humiliated. Yeah. And it just moved me so much thinking about that. But the fact that that limestone is on the shroud.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Is just more evidence of what he did for us. Yeah. What he paid, the price he paid, his suffering.
And a lot of people say, well, why did he fall like that? You alluded, he was beaten nearly to death before he ever started the march out. The cross beam was about probably 125 pounds. Yeah. And he probably didn't have the ability to catch himself anymore. Yeah. That he was so weakened that when he tripped, he just went down. Yeah. And it is, it's an interesting thing. I mean, again, the physiology of the man in the shroud was a hard laborer.
Yeah.
He was a strong physical person,
Right.
but had been so badly damaged in the torture and the beating that he had taken that he was at the end of it.
Yeah.
It had been hard for anybody to survive the beating, let alone the crucifixion. I mean, I'm not sure, how that all worked in the day, but it was terrible beating. And literally every square inch of his body was beaten.
Yeah. Yeah. And does scripture tell us, or we know that he died quicker, like faster than most crucifixions,
He did.
right? And people were surprised by that.
They were. A lot like the other crucifixions we know a lot about happen in Italy, actually. And they were slave revolts.
Okay.
And so they would crucify the slaves along the main roads as a warning, and a lot of times it'd be days.
Yeah.
And they would literally hang there for days, and most people died of suffocation because you have to pull yourself up on the nails for every breath.
Yeah.
And so it's excruciatingly, like if you've ever broken a bone badly, and that hurts, right?
Yeah.
Like breaking a bone hurts, and you are literally pulling yourself up on bones that have been broken by nails for every breath, and at some point you just can't.
Yeah.
And you start to suffocate. And so that's a terrible death. But Jesus began to die quicker, I think, because of the beating that he had taken was so severe that he began to die because the Sabbath was coming, and they wanted all of the criminals, all three criminals, dead.
Yeah.
And so they were going to break their legs with a club so they couldn't push themselves up to breathe, so that they would suffocate and die. But they came to Jesus, and he had slumped, and so they shoved a spear through his ribs instead of breaking a bone.
Yeah.
And the Gospels say that blood and water came out, which is a sign of death, right?
Yep.
The blood had coagulated, and there was edema, which had surrounded the heart sac and the lung sac. And so the water comes out first because it has all swollen. You're in there, and then the blood in its postmortem state comes out, and that's exactly what you find on the shroud as well, which is interesting. The exact wound that would have not been typical, by the way.
Right. I think that's the piece, is like it would not have been typical. It's not like you're finding this wound on every other crucified shroud.
You don't. You may not be finding it, frankly.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very unique part of that. Also, people ask, how in the world could you have a linen cloth from a couple thousand years ago? Interestingly, you have a lot of them.
Yes.
It is not uncommon to have linen burial shrouds from Israel because it's so dry.
Yeah.
There's not moisture and bacteria that destroy it, and so you could have, frankly, linen cloths much older,
right,
than this that you would find.
And they don't have images of people on them.
They do not. Yeah. They do not.
Could I ask another question about evidence that points this to be in Jesus' shroud? The helmet of thorns, was that a common inclusion in the crucifixion process?
Not at all. Okay. No, this was a specific mocking of Jesus claiming to be king. And so they made this basket of thorns. And the Bethlehem thorn, again, which is what this most likely was very long. Like our thorns, we think about rose bushes. I don't know about you. Like,
yeah.
I think about a rose bush, and a good English rose bush can have a good half inch thorn on it. You know what I mean? That you really don't want to fall into. But this one would have been maybe 3 inches deep, and when they would dry it, it would be as hard as metal. Gosh. And so they shoved the whole thing through. It would have been pretty rough, and it would have gone in right above your eyes and all over. And we know there were 50 wounds. From that, which is also very unique. And it's terrible.
And you see that on the shroud, which is amazing to really depict all across his head. And the shroud would have wrapped over his head,
right?
Like it would have been laid down flat, the body placed on it, and then come up and around him. And so you're able to see like the whole of his head and the wounds that caused to him, and the blood, like little streaks of blood. Which is, amazing. And sobering.
Also, the blood's path of running in the shroud would be characteristic of gravity, exactly how it should have run.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to fake it,
you would have had to think real hard about that.
You would have had to think really hard about that because every single one of the 372 wounds, plus the 50 on the head, plus the nail wounds, plus the spear wound, all ran to gravity in exactly the right spot. And so that was also something they tested.
Yeah.
And there's so much about the blood on the shroud. I mean, the coloring was huge, which showed trauma.
Yes.
Because when you're traumatized, your blood reacts differently. It becomes more red.
There was bilirubin and creatinine and ferritin in the blood, which indicates kidney failure and indicates internal organ shock and inflammation and failure, which is an unbelievably distressed human being. Yeah. Like if your blood showed that, they would rush you not just to the emergency room, but they'd be rushing you to an OR, trying to get something fixed for you.
Which is another piece of like, if you're replicating it, where are you getting that?
Right.
Where are you getting that kind of blood to put on the shroud? Like that's not just, you're not just pulling that from any body.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
That is very specific.
And it's pre-mortem.
Yeah.
So you
pre and post-mortem blood on the shroud, which is amazing.
Exactly. But you couldn't, like say you had a corpse, that blood wouldn't work for this.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's post-mortem blood.
Right.
And so the reality is that all of this stuff goes into saying it is what it looks like it is, I think, which is amazing to me.
And then there's evidence of the blood type.
Yeah.
Which,
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I know you like nerded out a little bit on that.
I geeked out on it. And I think AB, for several reasons, is super interesting. I think one, type AB is the universal receiver. Mm-hmm. Which I think is amazing because Jesus receives us, and in a very, very real way that's even typified by his blood. And I just think that's a cool little fact. But even beyond that, when you think about people they've thought about Adam, and they're like, first human being, what type of blood would he have had to have? And he would have had to have AB blood, because if you didn't have that, it would be difficult for us, if not impossible, to have A, B, and in our blood, because where would it have come from? It would come from an external source.
Right.
And so that Jesus would have this, it's interesting, sort of as a new Adam, and sort of in that way, knowing about the incarnation also points to some of that. But it's just cool. I mean, the fact that you have that type of even small details that you can know, I think is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm walking away from this even more convinced than I was. like I said, I tried to disprove all I could, but now I'm like, it's wild. Yeah. Really smart people have looked at this and looked at it intensely over and over, countless hours, and they're walking away saying these things are real.
Yeah.
Are on there. Like, I think it's one of those beautiful moments where we have like God's revealing some new evidence to us. He's, for whatever time needed it, here it is, and people are seeing this as just really incredible evidence of Jesus.
And I think too, we have a new generation of people who are interested.
Absolutely.
And I think they are carrying an openness, but also a great questioning into it as well. As I talk to people, and a lot of them in their 20s in particular, they have lots of questions and they want to know lots of things, but there's also a heart of neutrality and openness that they're able to hold those questions with,
right,
that I'm not sure my generation did. And I think that that type of curiosity also lends itself to wonder, and lends itself to try to be, to see if is God doing something in the middle of this.
Yeah, I was looking at some statistics, and one that caught my eye was that 66% of Americans, which I feel like is a significant number.
66% of anything is a significant number.
Significant number, right? Are open to discussing faith with a friend. And 44% of people say that they're more open to God now than ever before.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild, and it's so hopeful.
Yeah.
And especially like we're saying, like when it's coming alongside like scientific findings like this, I just feel like there's this kindness of God where he knows what we need.
Yeah.
And he like loves his children so much, and he knows the doubts that are in our hearts, and he knows like the questions that are in our minds. And he, although like we shouldn't need all this evidence of him, right? Like I don't know,
right?
But we do, and he supplies it. I think like through people, like being curious, and through research and all of this, like he gives us this evidence of him, and that's so cool. And we get to share that with people, and people are interested in having conversations.
Totally.
This is a cool topic to talk about.
Totally. I absolutely. I think I always think about this. I think there are three aspects when somebody is exploring God. Mm-hmm. And the first is like, what are the facts of something? Like, is there a compelling case to be made here in some way, shape, or form, right? The second is a personal experience of God. Have you experienced something that you would understand possibly, to be God? And maybe it can be as simple as opening up your Bible and there's a wisdom that you can't fully explain, and you're like, this is not like any book I've ever read. Other times you're having a prayer time and you're feeling an intense sense of peace or intense sense of joy, and you just don't feel alone. Other times you were part of something that was supernatural. And you're like, I can't believe that just happened, and I don't know how to process that.
Yeah.
But a third part is, I think we also look at the people around us and the relationships with people who are walking with God.
Yeah.
We look at them and we're like, I think I could be you. I could live the life you're living, and we are walking examples of what God can do. And I think that's important too. I think every single person, I always try to think about this, that stumbles into church and looks at what is happening around them, needs to see somebody that they can look at and identify with and say, man, I could do you. I could do what you're doing and be who you are. And then also have a transcendent experience of God that they know they can't touch without him.
Yes.
And that thing that can't quite come together becomes very compelling.
Yeah.
And then you get some facts along with it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you got a lot to run with.
You do. Now you had a story too, Blake. You read Case for Christ.
Yep.
How did that affect you?
Yeah, we debate the origins of this book, where it came, like how it came into our possessions.
Yeah, into your possession. The origin of the book is written by Lee Strobel.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
But yes.
How did this book end up on my
in your hands?
On my nightstand? I don't even remember why I decided to read it, to be honest with you, but I did, and I went on this journey with the author, and this investigative journey, asking all these professionals all the questions that he's ever wanted to know answers to, and every single one of them he's walking away with proof and evidence and just support for Jesus being real, for him dying the death that he died, for him being the Son of God like he claimed to be. And it was for me what I needed as a person who's more of an analytical thinker, who likes to see evidence, who likes to know without a doubt that something's right and correct. It gave me what I needed to say, I think this is like what I've said I've believed in for all these years. Like I'm actually believing in it now.
Yeah.
And then I pull back and I look at all my life around it, and I'm like, oh wait, God's meeting me there, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like before that even happened, we were at church. We lived in Wisconsin for a year, and we were at church, and I could go to church every single week and walk away like feeling like something was different. Like there's something I want to live a life differently than the life I'm living now. It was. I mean, it would end halfway through the week. As the rest of the week, it would fade out. But every week, I'd go back, and I'm like, this is not the same. And so when I look back on that now, with knowing like the evidence that I've seen, I'm like, oh yeah, I was encountering God personally.
Yep.
And while I needed physical evidence, like some people just need that personal encounter, and like that's what they run with, and the physical evidence is cherry on top. Right. At that point, I think that's what Ellie's story is, more that way.
Yeah, I remember something interesting about your story at that time. I think it was around the same time that you were reading this book. I don't remember what came before or after, but so up until this point, we had moved a couple of times, one for Blake's school when he went to grad school for the first time. Yes, the first time.
Wow, there was a lot in the tone of voice on that. Man.
When he went to grad school the first time, we moved to Wisconsin. And then when we moved from Wisconsin to Illinois, we were moving again for his like first job. And so we were at this like crossroads kind of in our life where he had been offered an opportunity back in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We had moved to Illinois for his first job post grad school. He had been offered a position back in Wisconsin teaching, actually at a university, right?
Well, no, it was at a school.
And details, anyways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had been offered an opportunity to like advance in the job that I was in, where we were living, and this was like a real tension in our marriage. Like, what are we gonna do? One of the few times
where like we didn't resolve something.
Yeah.
Like it lingered for a few days.
Okay.
And Blake went out golfing.
Yeah.
And
I sense a little resentment in your voice about that.
Nah, it
was like what he needed to do.
It was summer vacation.
It was
I was a teacher. I had my time. And I was Rowan born at that point.
I don't remember, but you went out and essentially, long story short, you encountered God on the golf course. Praying about this. Yeah. And I think it was just a ruse so he could golf more. No, but he came back and he was like, we're going to stay. We didn't move back to Wisconsin for the opportunity that he had. And he was like, God gave me a peace about staying here. And the reality is if we hadn't stayed, I don't know if we'd be here right now. But this was all at the same time. Like he was really coming alive in his faith and like also reading this book. But like God was I remember God was just like meeting him in like powerful ways factually, but then also experientially. And it was like this combination of like the two things in his life that was like, this is it. This is like the solidification that you needed to like be walking with God.
We didn't grow up in the suburbs and never planned to live in the suburbs. And so we found ourselves living in the west suburbs for 2 years, and we're like, this is not what we want. Like this isn't it. And we longed to be back. We were in La Crosse, like Wisconsin, and that area is just beautiful on the river and so much outdoor stuff to do. And we're like, we longed to go back there. And like I found a way to make it possible, right? Like I went out and got a job offer, and I'm like, here we go. We can do it now. We can go. And she's like, well, I was offered this opportunity, and so it was tense.
I mean, it's crossroads for both of us, really. Like, what do we want? And God met us in that decision making.
But we found the church we were at prior to this, to being at the chapel right after that or shortly after that. And like that's just the rest is history at that point. Like now we're here. It's wild to think that moment on the golf course. And it was a piece I still don't know how to describe it. Or even understand it. Like I think I was on the 9th or 10th hole and I'm like, all right, I think we're staying. And I was fine. I came back and I told you like we're gonna stay. And I'm not gonna coach football anymore. Like I just like, there was so many things that I felt like I felt just very clear about. And I was like, now looking back, I was like, oh man, God's so good. And I really resonate with you talked about wonder and like experiencing God and the evidence and encountering him and just like having wonder that moves you to worship. And like for me this year, I've been trying to really just hold awe and wonder again and allow like, God, you're so big. Don't let me discredit something that you do. Like can I not be the person who just wants to to debunk something right away? Like can I just hold it a little bit openly? And as I'm doing that, I'm just like I'm amazed at how good he is and what he's doing in our community at Palatine, but in our community across the chapel and every location. And so it's a wild, long, winding story, but he showed up and here we are.
Very cool. Interesting part of the story. While Lee Strobel was writing that book and collecting it, I was a volunteer on one of his teams.
Oh, no way.
At Willow, he and Mark Middleberg, and I was a lowly volunteer just doing very basic things during that time. And so it was interesting. So
that's funny.
So I heard some of the lectures and some of the messages that eventually went down that road.
I even watched the movie. There was a movie that
You
came
did,
out.
yeah.
There you go.
You were all in.
I was all in.
So
Yeah.
That's so good. Scott, do you find yourself in an evidence and experiential lane, right?
I do very
Yeah.
strongly. It's a both and for me, and always has been. I came to Christ as an adult, and I didn't have Lee's book at that point. I wish that would have been written. But I remember I wrote down, I think, like 88 questions or something on a legal pod that I had to know.
Okay.
And I needed to understand this because I was starting to really experience God, and mostly through his word. Like I was just opening up the Bible and reading it, and I was finding God in it.
Yeah.
And not just God in the wisdom, but also experiencing him. And I went to my friend, and he took me to a Christian bookstore, and I didn't know those existed.
Did he buy you chicken soup for the soul?
He did
I'm
not.
Just kidding.
He did not. No. The person working at the bookstore took me to what I now would know as the apologetic section.
Okay.
But at the time, it was I had no idea, and I would look at all these books, and I just would find books that seemed to answer the questions that I had, and I started reading them. And for about a year and a half, every day, I would answer these questions, but at the same time, I would start praying and asking God to show himself to me. And he would. And it would just be remarkable. And it was almost like this secret life that nobody around me knew I had, and I was experiencing God and finding God, and my life was changing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So good. Yeah, I definitely find myself in the experience camp. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by that, but
Yeah.
I think.
But you like a good statistic.
Oh, I love statistics, and for me, that like physical evidence, I get like hyped about it.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like this, like the cherries and toppings on top of an already good bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this makes it even better.
Yeah.
I love the pieces where you see that like not just Jesus is real, but like all of the Bible is real. Like I'm, waiting for them to uncover Noah's Ark on the mountain. Just all of it like just brings so much like joy to me and excitement.
I don't know if you know that,
wonder.
but it's just outside Cincinnati.
Yeah, it is. You can. We were gonna go there. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I think like. For me, like part of our Easter decor were these, if you were at one of our campuses, you saw posters or hanging banners and with scripture. And it was the idea of like, you're invited to rest, just as he said, or his love, his life is abundant, just as he said. And for me, it's been those moments of reading something in scripture and then finding it compelling, but then finding it to be true in my life when I depend on Jesus, when I trust in him, when I follow him. That has solidified my faith of like, oh, I read it here and then I experience it here. And that tie to me is like what is unbreakable. I'm like, if this has been real for me, like I don't need really the evidence. I'm going to get jazzed about it.
Yep. Totally.
But that's the real piece for me. And I just think that that's a beautiful piece that like God also gives us.
Yeah.
And all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me, science held a very, and still does, a powerful place in my mind.
Yeah.
Even from the time I was a small boy. I mean, there was just wonder in that. And I always wanted to know how something worked. And it just, was important to me to find out. And I think when I started to discover God, it wasn't just a missing piece.
Yeah.
It was how all of it functioned. And you're like, wow, okay, I think I'm onto something here. There's something, my world is bigger than I thought. It's more complicated than I thought. And yet it still holds together and makes sense. And I get it. And so it was huge.
Yeah, there's something about the science piece that like makes you realize that God is infinitely bigger than we could ever imagine.
Yeah. Right.
And that piece to me is like where so much wonder comes in.
Totally.
We've done a series a couple years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago, through the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
And in that, you and then Putty, who we had with us last week,
Yep.
really walked us through a lot of the scientific pieces of like creation and life itself
Totally.
and the evidence of God being the origin
Totally.
of that. And I think if you're interested in the scientific piece, that's something to go to like our YouTube or our messages page on the website. The series was called Origins.
Yeah.
And to listen to that, because that even that unpacking, like the shroud is giving us this evidence of Jesus and his crucifixion and like his life and death
Right.
and resurrection.
Yes.
But this is like evidence of God and creation and
Totally.
all of it. And that's amazing
Totally.
too.
I was actually, I was spending time all alone in our Grays Lake campus very early in the morning on Easter Sunday before anybody was here. And it's one of the things I will often do. And I like to be here when there's no one else here. And I can just sort of pray and I can think. And I was looking out the window and it was still dark and the sun was just beginning to come up. And I was thinking about, this thought came into my mind, the fact that any of this is here at all is such a testimony that there is a God.
Yeah.
Like just you look around, the fact that anything is here, in fact that it's not just nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, how in the world can you possibly get your mind around that, you know? And, I'll often, I'll ask people, like, if you were to go to the edge of the universe and look over the edge and you saw that it had an edge and a boundary, how could your mind ever understand that? You can't. You can't understand what's over the edge of the universe.
Right.
But if you look over and there's no end, you can't understand that either.
Right.
And the reality is there's some things that we cannot intellectually understand, but we're experiencing. And because we're experiencing it, it points us to a transcendent reality. And I think that's a humble space to be, because as smart as some of our scientists are, they're not God. And it's a powerful, powerful thing. And so I think all of this points in the direction, like if you look at science and you look at how fine-tuned the universe is, you look at how amazingly complicated biology is, if you understand quantum physics, and if you're able to do, you end up in a place of worship and not skepticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people that I've talked to that have given their lives to science that end up in a place of deep skepticism, it's not for scientific reasons.
Right.
It's for moral reasons, that you don't want to live the life that Jesus pointed you to. And you want another reason to say that.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I have found that to be very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel like I grew up thinking that science and faith couldn't work together.
Right.
But what I've found is that science actually just provides that much more evidence that this thing that we believe in is real.
Totally.
And so like that's been the coolest part for me, is seeing all the things that I thought couldn't exist. Like these things can't work together. Actually being the very thing that is proving that this thing's real.
Yeah.
That's good. I think the question that I would pose is for people who have just encountered God for the first time on Easter, who have found this evidence so compelling that they can't look away.
Yeah.
What do they do next? Like where do they go?
There's a handful of things that I just think seem important. Like in that moment, we can have this moment with God, but then our life moves on.
Yeah.
And we can question it then at that point. Was it as real as it felt? Is it as big a deal? And the answer is it is.
Yeah.
And life can just get in the way.
Yes.
I think it's really important to tell someone you trust. Like one of the biggest things that we can do is find somebody that you trust, hopefully somebody that is holding on to some faith in Jesus, and just say, I had this moment with God. I'm not sure I have the right words or I know how to explain it, but this is kind of how I felt or what happened to me or what I'm thinking, and be open to having a conversation. And I think that can be one of the most important things you can ever do. I think another is to honestly start coming to church and start becoming part of a community of faith that you can see how people do what they do, and you can experience God on a more regular basis. And you're going to have more questions, right? And it's going to, and those aren't going to stop, and that's great. And you can be in an environment where people love questions and love you, and can see that, even become a deeper and more beautiful reality.
Yeah.
So those are just a handful of things that I would probably say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would echo that. Like I feel like anytime we talk about people giving their lives to Jesus, like that's the first step. Hey, don't let this decision stay with you.
Yeah.
Let somebody in on it, whether that's a staff member or just another person or a parent, a sibling. Like, just let somebody else know about it. Don't let it live in just this one reality that only you are aware of it.
Yep.
But bring others into it. And and then I think there's just something powerful about continuing to come and like jumping into the Word and allowing God's Word to come alive and just holding the wonder of it all.
Yeah.
And if you're going to pick up the Bible, go to one of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, and just take a read and walk through the life of Jesus. And I always think it's interesting, like even just reading a few paragraphs and just stopping to linger and just ask God to meet you in that, and just say, God, show me who you are, show me who I am, and show me the world.
Yeah.
And he'll do it.
That's good.
He'll absolutely do it.
That's good. Yeah, we actually have, Scott, you preached out of John 20 this weekend, and we have a devotional that will lead you through the book of John, available on our website, and it starts at the beginning, and John, the whole book intros with this idea of come and see. And so I would just encourage people to go to chapel.org/come and see. If you don't have a Bible, you can get one at one of our campuses. Send us a Connect card. Let us know that you need one. We'll get one to you. But then you can go to chapel.org/come and see, and there's a digital version of this devotional that you can walk through. And it's, low commitment. Just start out and see where God takes you. But this Sunday we're going to be starting a new series.
We are. I'm excited.
Called Breakthrough. And we're actually going to the Old Testament, walking through the life of Samuel, the prophet. And I think my hope for this series, and Scott, I would love to hear yours, is just that people would see all the ways that it is possible for the kingdom to break into their lives. For ways that God is wanting to be at work in their lives, so that they can experience and encounter the goodness of his kingdom and the reality of his kingdom. And so it's going to be 4 weeks, but we start this Sunday, and it'd be really fun.
I'm excited. I will tell you, Samuel's the most exciting person you've never heard of. He is an towering figure in the Old Testament. He is a man among men. He is just like an unbelievably godly guy, but is also a powerful man. But we know Moses, we know David, we know Elijah, but we don't really know much about Samuel. And this is going to be a series that I think a lot of people will be surprised by, but it's going to be really good. And I'm excited. It's a story that is worth the telling, and it's a story that all of us can look at our lives and map some part of us to this, and super cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. So if you are listening, we invite you to join us at one of our campuses. You can find service times at chapel.org. Or if you're not close to us, you can also join us online, and you can worship with us from there. But it's been really fun. I wish we had like 2 more hours, because there's so many Shroud things that we didn't get to. But we'll be back here next week to continue the conversation. It's been fun.